Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's episode of Canal Days. As always, I am your host, Terry, along with my co-host, founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Como. Our Canal Days series delves into the vast collection of historical sites throughout Massachusetts with Robert's expertise of the local history as our personal guide. Each episode, we uncover history throughout local communities with historic houses, meaningful monuments, preeminent pivotal pioneers, and remarkable remaining remnants, all while uncovering their seminal significance. Today's episode of Canal Days will be discussing the Third Congregational Church of Chicopee, Massachusetts. So, can you clarify where this church is located within Chicopee?
It's on Springfield Street, and it's part of a very extensive tour I gave of Springfield Street. Because there's so many churches on that street, I was able to walk along and see all these very many churches. There might have been within a quarter mile about 5 churches. And even right after that, towards the City Hall area, there was a couple more. And it's very similar to Church Street in Chicopee Falls area, which had one church on it, but about 4 other churches just off it. So they clustered the churches 200 years ago fairly close together. And that's not a surprise because people didn't have cars, a lot of people didn't even have carriages, and they would have to walk to church, so they had to keep them close together. So today we're going to talk about where it is, its history, its architectural style, and what it's changed into. So the church itself started as a congregation of people on October 16th, 1834. Chicopee was still part of Springfield at that point, and it was a congregation of people. It's a congregational church, but it was the third one along. The first congregation church of Chicopee is on Willamette Street. The second edition of that building is still there, and that started in the 1750s. The second congregational church of Chicopee was in Chicopee Falls, often called that Chicopee Falls Congregational Church. That was on Church Street. That was made as a congregation in 1820, and physically as a church, they started building in 1830. So this one came soon thereafter, and the reason why is very simple. Look at the dates the canals were built. The Chicopee canals, and I'll talk about that history in great detail. So this one is definitely on Springfield Street, and I hope you go see it. It's at the corner of Pearl Street.
And reveal the history of the church.
Okay, so I told you it formed in 1834, and the physical building that you are looking at was from 1867. So they had an original building there. It was too small, so they outgrew it, and they took it down, but it used the same location to build up a new church. That was in 1867 again. The architect was Charles Edward Parker, a very famous architect of churches. And inside is beautiful stained glass windows and a beautiful organ. And the chapel is towards the back. And through its history, we see that it's probably made because the Chicopee Center Canal came around in the year 1832. And the builders of the canal, the mill workers that were now coming into Chicopee Center, would have to either walk to Willamette, a fairly far walk from here, or walk to Chicopee Falls on Church Street, not too far away, maybe a mile and a half. And of course, most people didn't have cars, and so the walk must have been fairly great, especially for those with children. And a lot of these people would have had children. And so thus, they needed a third congregational church in Chicopee. And it came about, and it grew and grew from there. It probably became the largest of all the 3 congregational churches because Chicopee Center continued to grow. And it started its history again in the Cabottville section of Springfield, and then in the year 1849, and Cape Chicopee.
And stick around because we'll be right back after these few words from our sponsor. Are you fascinated by local history and eager to investigate the obscure treasures off the beaten path throughout the state of Massachusetts? Or maybe just seeking an unforgettable cultural activity for family and friends to enjoy? Look no further than Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, founded by Robert Como. With over a decade of experience, Robert offers captivating tours and presentations of historic sites and landmarks throughout the state. Whether you're interested in canals, cemeteries, charming churches, or more, Robert's tours provide a unique and enriching experience for all. And that's not it. You can also schedule private tours tailored to your interests, ensuring a personalized adventure and unforgettable memories. Perfect for families or groups of all sizes, making for an exciting hands-on learning experience that brings history to life. Simply visit holyokecanaltour.org or email bobcat4214, capital B, @yahoo.com to book your private tour today. But wait, there's more. Don't miss out on Robert's podcast and video series, Canal Days, where you can dive even deeper into the vital history of the Connecticut River Valley. Plus, for those who may not be local or would rather enjoy on the go or from the comfort of their home, Canal Days brings the adventure right to your screen. So don't miss out. Uncover the pivotal past with historical tours of Greater Holyoke to make your own history with memories that will last a lifetime. Remember to log on to holyokecanaltour.org for more information and secure your personalized experience today. Welcome back to Canal Days episode of the Third Congregational Church of Chicopee, Massachusetts. And can you describe how the church is architecturally designed?
Yes, it's a beautiful church, of course. It's easy to find. And it was designed by, again, Charles Edward Parker. It's in the Gothic style. And it has, towards the back, a chapel. It's at a 90-degree perpendicular angle to the main nave of the church. And so thus you get almost a double church. It's so large, that chapel. It's almost as large as most churches. And then also there's a social hall towards the back left of it, with the chapel being toward the back right. And there's also a rectory to the right of the church, a person's home at this point. And overall the church is fairly well taken care of, so you get to see a lot of the strong architectural values that it had.
And can you depict what the church is like today and how it's used?
Yes, it's in fairly good shape inside and out. It probably can use a good fix-up in certain points, like the steeple area, of course. And it's no longer used as a congregational church, but it's used by a Protestant denomination still. And hopefully they get grants from some source to keep this church going, because it's such an architectural wonder. It's on this church alley that I like very much, across from the Assumption Church. The Assumption Church itself closed down, so I hope this one doesn't close. And it, of course, is very close to Holy Name Church, very close to the Grace Episcopal Church, the former Unitarian Church, and down the hill there used to be a few other churches. So it's quite the section here. And this would be, with the others, a great renovation project and make it look historical like it was, so this whole alley would keep up to a very high standard.
And thanks for listening to Canal Days and our episode on the Third Congregational Church of Chicopee, Mass, and joining us on our journey through the rich history of the Connecticut River Valley. We hope you enjoyed uncovering some of the hidden and overlooked marvels and their fascinating stories that shaped our past in the state of Massachusetts. A special thanks to Robert Como, founder of the Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, for sharing his passion and expertise with us. Remember, you can find more information about Robert's tours, book private tours, and explore the Canal Days video and podcast series at holyokecanaltour.org. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, and share. We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future episodes. Don't forget to keep exploring and discovering the history that is hidden in plain sight all around us. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to tune in to our next episode of Canal Days at holyokecanaltour.org.